After my sister stole my inheritance, she now wants my help to save her failing business and rebuild our relationship. Emily and I were always close growing up. We were only 2 years apart, so it felt natural to do everything together. From sharing secrets in our treehouse to supporting each other through high school drama, Emily was my best friend as much as she was my sister. Our parents doted on us, encouraging our bond and teaching us the values of trust and loyalty. So it was inconceivable to me that Emily would ever betray me. After our parents passed away in a car accident, we were devastated. The grief was all-consuming, but Emily and I clung to each other, finding solace in our shared pain. The inheritance they left us was substantial, enough to ensure both of us had secure futures. We promised to honor their memory by supporting each other and making wise decisions with the money. Months after the funeral, I noticed Emily acting strangely. She was secretive, often avoiding my questions about her sudden extravagant purchases. New clothes, fancy dinners, and weekend getaways became her norm. I initially chalked it up to her way of coping with the loss. Maybe she was trying to fill the void left by our parents' death with material things. But then the bank statements started arriving. Our joint inheritance account was being drained rapidly, and it didn't add up. I confronted Emily, hoping there was some logical explanation. She had always been the more responsible one with money, after all. "Emily, can we talk?" I asked one evening as she returned from yet another shopping spree. She looked at me, her eyes wary. "Sure, Sarah, what's up?" I took a deep breath, holding up the bank statement. "Can you explain this? Our inheritance is disappearing, and I don't understand where it's all going." Her face paled, and she glanced away. I've been investing in a new business venture. It's going to pay off, Sarah, I promise. I just needed some capital to get it started." "Without telling me?" I could hear the hurt in my voice. "We're supposed to be in this together. How could you make such a huge decision without even consulting me?" She sighed, sitting down heavily on the couch. "I know, and I'm sorry. I thought I could handle it on my own and surprise you with the success. I didn't want to burden you with the details." My anger simmered, but I tried to stay calm. "Emily, this isn't just about money. It's about trust. You went behind my back and used our inheritance for something I didn't agree to. Do you understand how that makes me feel?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I never meant to hurt you. I just wanted to make something of myself, to prove I could succeed on my own." Her apology seemed genuine, but the damage was done. I felt betrayed, the foundation of trust between us shattered. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the deception, the secrecy. Our parents' legacy was supposed to be our safety net, and now it was slipping through our fingers. The weeks that followed were tense. I distanced myself from Emily, needing time to process the betrayal and figure out my next steps. She continued with her business venture, pouring all her energy into making it work. I couldn't bring myself to support her, not when it had come at such a personal cost. One day I received a call from a lawyer handling our parents' estate. "Sarah, I'm afraid I have some troubling news. It appears that significant withdrawals have been made from your inheritance account. If this continues, there might not be anything left." Panic set in. "How much is left?" "Only a fraction of the original amount. I suggest you take immediate action to protect what remains." I confronted Emily that evening, my anger barely contained. "Emily, you've drained almost all of our inheritance. What were you thinking?" She looked defeated, tears streaming down her face. "The business isn't doing as well as I hoped. I kept thinking if I invested more it would turn around, but it hasn't. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I've ruined everything." The weight of her words crushed me. Our parents' legacy, the security they had worked so hard to provide, was gone. I couldn't even look at her. "I can't believe you've done this. I trusted you, Emily. How could you betray me like this?" She sobbed, but it didn't bring me any comfort. I walked out, needing space to clear my head and figure out what to do next. The betrayal felt like a knife in my heart, and I didn't know if our relationship could ever recover. In the following weeks, I focused on picking up the pieces of my life. I sought legal advice to protect what little remained of the inheritance and started looking for ways to secure my financial future. It was a painful and lonely process, but I was determined to move forward. Emily tried to reach out multiple times, but I ignored her calls and messages. I wasn't ready to forgive her, and I wasn't sure if I ever would be. The wound was too fresh, the pain too deep. It was hard to imagine ever trusting her again. As time passed, I began to rebuild my life. I found a new job, one that allowed me to explore my passions and provided a steady income. I reconnected with old friends and leaned on them for support. Slowly, I started to regain my sense of self-worth and independence. But even as I moved forward, the shadow of Emily's betrayal lingered. I missed the closeness we once shared, the bond that had defined our relationship. I wondered if we could ever find a way back to each other if forgiveness and healing were possible. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Emily standing there looking tired and defeated. "Sarah, please, can we talk?" I hesitated, but something in her eyes made me step aside and let her in. We sat down at the kitchen table, the silence between us heavy with unspoken words. "Sarah, I know I've hurt you deeply, and I don't expect you to forgive me easily," she began, her voice trembling. "But I'm here to ask for your help. My business is failing, and I don't know what to do. I need you, Sarah. I can't do this alone." Her plea stirred a mix of emotions within me, anger, sadness, but also a flicker of compassion. Despite everything, she was still my sister. And as much as I wanted to turn her away, I couldn't ignore the pain in her eyes. "I don't know if I can ever trust you again, Emily," I said quietly. "But I'm willing to listen. Let's start there." It was a small step, but it was a step nonetheless. As we began to talk, I realized that maybe, just maybe, there was a path to healing. It wouldn't be easy, and it would take time, but perhaps we could find a way to rebuild what had been broken. After Emily's plea for help, I found myself in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Despite the deep hurt she had caused, she was still my sister. But trust wasn't something that could be restored with a simple apology. It needed to be earned back, brick by brick. Over the next few days, I spent a lot of time thinking about her request. I spoke to my friends and family about the situation, seeking their advice. Most of them were understandably wary. "She betrayed you once, Sarah," my best friend Lisa said during one of our long phone conversations. "What makes you think she won't do it again?" "I don't know, Lisa," I replied, frustration evident in my voice, but she seemed genuinely remorseful. "I want to believe she's changed." "Well, just be careful. You need to protect yourself first and foremost." With that in mind, I agreed to meet Emily again. We chose a quiet cafe where we could talk without interruption. As I sat down across from her, I saw the anxiety in her eyes. She was holding back tears, her hands trembling slightly as she sipped her coffee. "Thank you for meeting me, Sarah," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm here to listen, Emily," I said, trying to keep my tone neutral. "But I need to be clear. This doesn't mean I've forgiven you." She nodded, looking down at her cup. "I understand. I need you to know how sorry I am. I've been a fool, and I've made a mess of everything. The business is falling apart, and I can't fix it on my own." "Tell me about the business," I prompted. "What went wrong?" Emily took a deep breath and started explaining. She had invested heavily in a trendy boutique, thinking it would be an instant success. But she had underestimated the costs and overestimated the demand. The rent was too high, and she had taken out loans to keep the business afloat, but the debts were piling up faster than she could manage. "I thought I could turn it around," she said, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. "But every decision I made seemed to backfire. Now I'm drowning in debt, and I don't know where to turn." Listening to her, I felt a mix of pity and frustration. "Emily, why didn't you come to me sooner? Why did you keep all this a secret?" "I was ashamed," she admitted. I didn't want you to see how badly I had messed up. I thought I could fix it on my own, but I was wrong." Her honesty was a start, but it wasn't enough to erase the pain she had caused. "Emily, I want to help you, but I need to set some boundaries. We need to rebuild our relationship, and that means you have to be completely transparent with me from now on. No more secrets." "I promise, Sarah," she said earnestly. "I'll do whatever it takes to make things right." We spent the next few hours discussing her business in detail. She showed me the financial statements, and it was clear that she was in deep trouble. The boutique was hemorrhaging money, and without drastic measures it would go under. "First things first," I said, taking charge. "We need to create a plan to get your finances under control. That means cutting unnecessary expenses and finding ways to boost revenue. You also need to talk to your creditors and negotiate better terms." Emily looked overwhelmed, but she nodded in agreement. "I'll do whatever it takes, Sarah. Thank you for giving me this chance." In the weeks that followed, we worked together to turn her business around. It wasn't easy. There were late nights, tough decisions, and plenty of setbacks. But slowly, we started to make progress. We cut down on expenses, renegotiated leases, and found creative ways to attract more customers. During this time, I saw a different side of Emily. She was determined, hardworking, and willing to admit her mistakes. She listened to my advice and followed through on her promises. It was a stark contrast to the reckless and secretive person she had been before. One evening, as we were working late at the boutique, Emily turned to me with a somber expression. "Sarah, I know this doesn't make up for what I did, but I want you to know how much I appreciate your help. I couldn't have done this without you." I sighed, feeling a mix of emotions. "Emily, I'm still hurt by what happened. It's going to take time to rebuild our relationship, but I can see that you're trying. Just keep being honest with me, and we'll get through this." She nodded, a hint of a smile on her lips. "I will, Sarah. I promise." As the months passed, the boutique started to stabilize. We introduced new products, ran promotional events, and slowly but surely the business began to attract more customers. It was a grueling process, but the progress was undeniable. Despite the improvements, there were still moments of doubt and frustration. Rebuilding trust wasn't a linear process. There were days when the old wounds felt fresh, and I questioned whether I was making the right decision by helping Emily. But each time those doubts surfaced, I reminded myself of the progress we had made and the person Emily was becoming. One day, as we were closing up the boutique, Emily turned to me with a hopeful look. "Sarah, do you think we'll ever be close again, like we were before?" I paused, considering her question. "Emily, I hope so. It's going to take time, but I believe we can get there. We've already come so far." She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "Thank you, Sarah, for everything." We hugged, a tentative but meaningful embrace. It was a small step toward healing, a sign that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild the bond that had been broken. As Emily and I continued to work on saving her boutique, I began to see the full extent of her financial mismanagement. She had overextended herself in every possible way, from extravagant purchases to high-interest loans that were bleeding her dry. It was a mess, and it was clear that it would take a lot more than a few cutbacks to turn things around. One particularly rainy afternoon, as we sat in her office going through the latest financial reports, Emily let out a frustrated sigh. "I don't know if I can do this, Sarah. I'm in way over my head." I looked at her, seeing the weariness in her eyes. "You don't have to do this alone, Emily. We'll get through it together, but you have to stay committed and be willing to make some tough decisions." She nodded, her resolve hardening. "I am. I've learned my lesson the hard way, and I don't want to lose everything I've worked for." As the weeks went by, we focused on implementing a solid plan to get the boutique back on track. We reduced overhead costs by renegotiating contracts with suppliers, cut down on unnecessary expenses, and streamlined operations. Emily's willingness to make these changes was a good sign, But we knew it wouldn't be enough without a boost in revenue. To attract more customers, we organized special events, offered discounts, and revamped the store's marketing strategy. Emily started a social media campaign to promote the boutique, and we reached out to local influencers to help spread the word. Slowly but surely, we began to see an increase in foot traffic and sales. However, just as things were starting to look up, we hit another obstacle. Emily received a notice from the bank, informing her that she was at risk of foreclosure due to missed loan payments. The stress was palpable, and I could see the fear in her eyes as she handed me the letter. "Sarah, what am I going to do? If they foreclose on the boutique, it's all over," she said, her voice trembling. "We're not going to let that happen," I said firmly. "We'll figure this out. Let's call the bank and see if we can negotiate a payment plan." The call to the bank was nerve-wracking, but I managed to convince them to give us a temporary reprieve. They agreed to a new payment schedule, provided that we showed consistent improvement in the boutique's financial performance. It was a small victory, but it gave us some breathing room. As we continued to fight to save the boutique, I noticed a change in Emily. She was no longer the reckless, impulsive person who had squandered our inheritance. She was focused, determined, and willing to do whatever it took to turn things around. It was a transformation that gave me hope, even if the road ahead was still uncertain. One evening, after a particularly long day at the boutique, Emily and I sat down for a quiet dinner. She looked at me, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Sarah, I don't think I've ever properly thanked you for everything you've done. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm so grateful." I reached across the table and took her hand. "Emily, you're my sister. Despite everything that's happened, I still believe in you. We're in this together." Her eyes welled up with tears. "I promise I won't let you down again." Over the next few months, the boutique continued to improve. Sales steadily increased, and we managed to pay off some of the debt. Emily worked tirelessly, often putting in long hours to ensure the success of the business. Her dedication was inspiring, and it made me believe that she truly had changed. However, as the boutique began to stabilize, another challenge emerged. One day, while we were going through some old files, we discovered discrepancies in the accounting records. Money was missing, and it appeared that someone had been skimming profits for months. "Emily, have you noticed anything strange about the finances?" I asked, showing her the records. Her face went pale as she scanned the documents. "No, I hadn't noticed. This doesn't make any sense. Who could be doing this?" We launched an internal investigation, and to our shock, we discovered that one of Emily's trusted employees had been embezzling funds. Confronting the employee was difficult, but it was necessary. They confessed to their actions and were promptly fired, but the damage had already been done. The embezzlement set us back significantly, and it felt like we were starting from scratch again. Emily was devastated, feeling like she couldn't catch a break. "Why does this keep happening? Every time we make progress, something else goes wrong," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Because running a business is hard, Emily," I said gently. "There will always be challenges, but we can't give up. We've come too far." We tightened our security measures, implemented stricter financial controls, and doubled our efforts to get the boutique back on track. It was another uphill battle, but we refused to let it defeat us. Throughout this process, Emily and I grew closer. Working together every day allowed us to rebuild our bond, and we started to trust each other again. It wasn't easy, and there were still moments of tension and doubt, but the progress we made gave me hope. One evening, as we were closing up the boutique, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Sarah, I've been thinking a lot about our parents lately. I wonder what they would say if they could see us now." I smiled, feeling a pang of nostalgia. "I think they'd be proud of us, Emily. We've faced so many challenges, but we're still standing. We're still fighting." She nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "You're right. They always taught us to never give up, no matter how hard things get. I want to make them proud." We continued to work tirelessly, and slowly but surely the boutique began to recover. The community rallied around us, supporting our efforts and spreading the word. Emily's business acumen improved, and she became a savvy entrepreneur, learning from her mistakes and growing stronger every day. One day, as we were celebrating a particularly successful sales week, Emily turned to me with a smile. "Sarah, I couldn't have done this without you. You saved the boutique and you saved me." I hugged her tightly, feeling a sense of pride and relief. "We did this together, Emily, and we're going to keep moving forward." Reflecting on everything, I realized that our story was one of resilience, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. Our bond had been tested, but it had endured and flourished. As the weeks turned into months, Emily and I were slowly rebuilding not just her business, but also our relationship. We had managed to stabilize the boutique, but there was still an unspoken tension between us. We knew that to truly move forward, we needed to confront the past and address the pain that had driven us apart. One evening, after a long day at the boutique, Emily suggested we go for a walk. The air was crisp, and the setting sun painted the sky with shades of orange and pink. As we strolled through the park, the silence between us was heavy, filled with unsaid words and lingering emotions. "Sarah," Emily began, breaking the silence, "I've been thinking a lot about what happened. I know I've apologized, but I feel like we haven't really talked about it." I nodded, feeling a knot in my stomach. "You're right. We need to face it, Emily. We need to understand why it happened if we're ever going to truly move on." Emily took a deep breath, her eyes reflecting the pain she felt. "When Mom and Dad died, I was so lost. I felt like I had to prove something to myself, to you, to everyone. I thought if I could make the boutique a success on my own, it would somehow fill the void they left behind." "I understand feeling lost, Emily," I said softly. "We both felt that. But why didn't you come to me? We could have faced it together." "I was scared," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Scared of failing, scared of disappointing you. And when things started to go wrong, I didn't know how to stop. It was easier to keep it a secret and hope it would all work out." I sighed, the weight of her words settling over me. "I was angry, Emily, angry that you betrayed our trust, that you took what Mom and Dad left us without asking. But I was also hurt that you didn't trust me enough to be honest." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I should have been honest with you from the start. I never meant to hurt you." We walked in silence for a few moments, the cool breeze brushing against our faces. Finally, I spoke. "I forgive you, Emily, but we need to rebuild our trust, and that takes time. We need to be open and honest with each other, no matter how hard it is." Emily nodded, wiping away her tears. "I promise, Sarah. No more secrets. No more lies." As we continued our walk, we talked about our parents, the grief we had both experienced, and the different ways we had coped with their loss. It was a cathartic conversation, one that brought us closer and helped us understand each other better. In the weeks that followed, our relationship continued to improve. We communicated more openly, sharing our fears, hopes, and dreams. We made a pact to support each other no matter what, and to always be honest, even when it was difficult. The boutique also continued to show signs of improvement. Emily's newfound dedication and transparency made a significant difference. We hosted special events, collaborated with local artisans, and invested in marketing strategies that attracted more customers. The community rallied around us, and we started to see a steady increase in sales. One evening, as we were closing up the boutique, Emily turned to me with a smile. "Sarah, I've been thinking about something. I want to hold a memorial event for Mom and Dad here at the boutique, to honor their memory and to thank the community for their support." I smiled, touched by her idea. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Emily. They would be so proud of us." We spent the next few weeks planning the event, putting our hearts into every detail. The night of the memorial, the boutique was filled with friends, family, and loyal customers. We shared stories, laughed and cried, celebrating the lives of our parents and the resilience of our family. As I looked around the room, I realized how far we had come. The boutique was thriving, and our relationship was stronger than ever. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger, united by our love and determination. After the event, Emily and I sat in the quiet boutique, reflecting on the evening. "Thank you, Sarah," she said, her voice filled with emotion, "for everything. I couldn't have done this without you." I reached out and took her hand. "We did this together, Emily, and we'll continue to face whatever comes our way together." Reflecting on everything, I realized that our story was one of growth, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. Our bond had been tested, but it had endured and flourished. With our relationship and the boutique on steadier ground, it was time to establish some clear boundaries. Trust was slowly being rebuilt, but both Emily and I knew that without proper boundaries, we could easily slip back into old patterns. One evening, after a particularly busy day at the boutique, we sat down in Emily's small living room with cups of herbal tea. The conversation turned serious as we discussed the future and how to prevent the past from repeating itself. "Emily," I began, "we've come a long way, but I think it's important that we set some boundaries to protect what we've rebuilt. We need to make sure we don't fall back into the same traps." Emily nodded, her expression thoughtful. "I agree. I've been thinking about this too. What kind of boundaries do you think we need?" I took a deep breath, organizing my thoughts. First and foremost, we need to commit to total transparency. That means being open about our finances, our decisions, and our feelings. No more secrets. "Absolutely," Emily agreed. "I'll share all the financial details with you, and we can have regular check-ins to make sure everything is on track." "Great," I said, feeling encouraged by her willingness. "Second, we need to divide responsibilities clearly. We both need to know what we're responsible for, so there's no confusion or overlap. That way we can hold each other accountable." Emily nodded again, her eyes focused. "Okay. I'll handle the day-to-day operations and customer relations, and you can manage the financial planning and marketing strategies. How does that sound?" "That sounds perfect," I replied. "And lastly, we need to make time for ourselves outside of the boutique. Our relationship as sisters is just as important as the business. We need to make sure we have a balance." Emily smiled, a look of relief washing over her face. "I couldn't agree more. How about we set aside one evening a week just for us? No business talk, just sister time." "Deal," I said, reaching out to shake her hand. We both laughed and then hugged, feeling the weight of our mutual commitment. With these boundaries in place, we felt more confident about our ability to maintain the progress we had made. We scheduled our first financial review for the following week and set up a shared calendar to keep track of our responsibilities. It felt like a fresh start, grounded in mutual respect and accountability. As the weeks passed, our routine of regular check-ins and open communication paid off. We tackled issues head-on, preventing small problems from escalating into larger ones. The boutique continued to thrive, and our relationship as sisters grew stronger with each passing day. One afternoon, while we were setting up for a new product launch event, Emily turned to me with a smile. "Sarah, I can't tell you how much better things feel now. Having clear boundaries and knowing we can trust each other has made all the difference." I smiled back, feeling a warm sense of accomplishment. "I feel the same way, Emily. We've come a long way, and I'm so proud of us." The product launch was a success, attracting a large crowd and boosting our sales significantly. It was a testament to our hard work and the strength of our partnership. That evening, as we celebrated with our loyal customers, I realized how far we had come and how much stronger we were together. However, setting boundaries didn't mean there weren't challenges. One evening during our weekly sister time, Emily brought up a topic that had been weighing on her mind. "Sarah, I've been thinking about expanding the boutique, maybe opening a second location in the city. What do you think?" I paused, considering her suggestion. "Emily, I think that's a great idea, but we need to be cautious. Expanding too quickly could put us at risk, especially after everything we've been through. Let's take some time to thoroughly research and plan before making any decisions." She nodded, appreciating the caution. "You're right. I get excited sometimes and forget to think things through. Let's take it one step at a time." We spent the next few weeks researching potential locations, analyzing market trends, and developing a comprehensive business plan. We also sought advice from other small business owners who had successfully expanded. It was a meticulous process, but it reinforced the importance of our boundaries and the need for careful planning. As we delved deeper into the expansion plans, we also made sure to maintain our balance. Our weekly sister evenings became a cherished tradition, a time to relax, laugh, and reconnect. We went to the movies, tried new restaurants, and even took a weekend trip to the countryside. These moments strengthened our bond and reminded us of the importance of family. One evening, after a particularly enjoyable sister night, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Sarah, I just want to say thank you for everything, for giving me a second chance, for believing in me, and for being the best sister I could ever ask for." I felt a lump in my throat as I smiled at her. "Emily, we're in this together. No matter what happens, we'll always have each other, and I'm proud of the person you've become." With our boundaries firmly in place and our relationship stronger than ever, we continued to move forward with confidence and hope. The boutique flourished, our expansion plans took shape, and our bond as sisters grew unbreakable. Reflecting on everything, I realized that our story was one of resilience, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. Our bond had been tested, but it had endured and flourished. To all of you who have followed our journey, thank you for your support and encouragement. It's been a long and challenging road, but it's also been one of growth and transformation. I hope our story inspires you to face your own challenges with courage and an open heart. Let's continue to move forward one step at a time with love and hope guiding us. With the boutique on stable ground and our boundaries clearly established, Emily and I found ourselves in a much better place both professionally and personally. The air between us had lightened, and our weekly sister nights became something we both looked forward to. It was during one of these nights, while we were relaxing on the couch with a glass of wine, that Emily brought up a topic we hadn't discussed in depth yet. "Sarah," she began hesitantly, "I've been thinking a lot about Mom and Dad lately. How do you think they'd feel about everything that's happened?" I took a sip of my wine, feeling the familiar pang of loss. "I think they'd be proud of us, Emily. We've faced so many challenges, but we've come through stronger. They always believed in us, and I think we've honored their memory by sticking together and rebuilding our relationship." Emily nodded, her eyes glistening with tears. "I miss them so much. Sometimes I wish I could just ask them for advice, to hear their voices again." "Me too," I said softly. "But I think in a way they're still with us. Everything they taught us, all the love they gave us, it's still here. And it's helped us get through the toughest times." We sat in silence for a moment, each lost in our own memories. Finally, Emily spoke again. "I've been thinking. Maybe we should do something special to honor their memory, something that combines our love for them and our passion for the boutique." I looked at her intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" "Well, I was thinking we could host an annual charity event in their honor," Emily suggested. "We could partner with local businesses and raise money for a cause they cared about. It would be a way to give back to the community and keep their legacy alive." A smile spread across my face as I considered her idea. "I love that, Emily. It's a perfect way to honor them. Let's do it." We spent the next few weeks planning the event, putting our hearts into every detail. We reached out to local businesses, secured donations, and promoted the event through our social media channels. The response from the community was overwhelming, and it became clear that this event would be something special. On the day of the charity event, the boutique was transformed. The decorations were elegant, the atmosphere vibrant, and the turnout far exceeded our expectations. Friends, family, and loyal customers filled the boutique, all coming together to support a cause close to our hearts. As the evening progressed, Emily and I took a moment to stand back and admire what we had accomplished. "This is amazing," Emily said, her voice filled with emotion. "I can't believe we did this." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. "We did it together, Emily, and I think Mom and Dad would be so proud." During the event, we took turns sharing stories about our parents and the values they had instilled in us. It was a beautiful tribute, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room. The generosity of our guests was overwhelming, and we raised a significant amount of money for the charity we had chosen. After the event, as we were cleaning up, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Sarah, I feel like we've finally turned a corner. This event, everything we've done with the boutique, it feels like we're really honoring Mom and Dad's memory." I nodded, feeling a sense of peace. "I agree, and I think this is just the beginning. We've rebuilt our relationship and the boutique, and I feel like we can accomplish anything together." Our bond continued to strengthen as we navigated the challenges and triumphs of running the boutique. We celebrated each milestone and supported each other through setbacks. Our weekly sister nights remained a cherished tradition, a reminder of the importance of family and connection. One evening, as we were discussing our future plans for the boutique, Emily brought up another idea. "Sarah, I've been thinking about offering workshops and classes at the boutique. We could teach people about fashion, styling, and even business management. It could be a great way to engage with the community and bring in more revenue." I considered her suggestion, feeling a surge of excitement. "That's a fantastic idea, Emily. We could start with a few introductory classes and see how it goes. I think people would love it." We began developing a series of workshops, each focusing on different aspects of fashion and business. We promoted the classes through our social media channels and were thrilled to see a strong interest from our customers. The workshops were a hit, bringing a new sense of energy and excitement to the boutique. Emily and I enjoyed sharing our knowledge and interacting with the community in a more personal way. It was a rewarding experience, and it further solidified our bond. As the boutique continued to thrive, we also made time for ourselves outside of work. We took weekend trips, explored new hobbies, and spent quality time with friends and family. Our relationship as sisters had never been stronger, and we were grateful for the journey that had brought us to this point. Reflecting on everything, I realized that our story was one of resilience, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. Our bond had been tested, but it had endured and flourished. To all of you who have followed our journey, thank you for your support and encouragement. It's been a long and challenging road, but it's also been one of growth and transformation. I hope our story inspires you to face your own challenges with courage and an open heart. Let's continue to move forward one step at a time with love and hope guiding us. As the months went by, Emily and I continued to build on our success. The boutique was thriving, our workshops were a hit, and our bond as sisters was stronger than ever. It felt like we were finally in a good place, both personally and professionally. However, we knew that the journey wasn't over. We had to stay vigilant and continue working together to ensure our success was sustainable. One morning, as we were having breakfast, Emily brought up the topic of expansion again. "Sarah, I've been thinking a lot about opening a second location. I know we talked about it before, but I think we're ready now. What do you think?" I considered her words carefully. "I think you're right, Emily. We've made so much progress, and I believe we can handle it. But we need to approach this carefully. Let's develop a detailed business plan and make sure we're prepared for any challenges that come our way." Emily nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. Absolutely. I'm ready to put in the work and make this happen. We spent the next few weeks researching potential locations, analyzing market trends, and developing a comprehensive business plan. We sought advice from other small business owners who had successfully expanded and took note of their experiences and recommendations. It was a meticulous process, but we were determined to do it right. During this time, we also continued to strengthen our relationship. Our weekly sister nights remained a cherished tradition, and we made sure to take breaks and enjoy life outside of work. We went on hiking trips, tried new restaurants, and even took a weekend getaway to a spa. These moments of relaxation and connection were crucial in maintaining our balance and ensuring we didn't burn out. One evening, after a particularly productive day of planning, Emily and I sat on the porch, sipping tea and enjoying the cool evening breeze. "Sarah," Emily said, her voice thoughtful, "I can't believe how far we've come. It feels like just yesterday we were struggling to keep the boutique afloat, and now we're talking about expanding." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. "We've worked hard, Emily, and we've faced a lot of challenges, but we've come through stronger. I'm proud of us." Emily reached out and took my hand. "Thank you for believing in me, Sarah, for giving me a second chance and for standing by my side through everything." I squeezed her hand, my heart full. "We're in this together, Emily, and I'm proud of the person you've become." As we continued to prepare for the expansion, we encountered several challenges. Securing the perfect location took longer than expected, and we faced delays with permits and renovations. There were moments of frustration and doubt, but we supported each other through it all. One afternoon, while we were dealing with a particularly difficult contractor, Emily turned to me with a determined look. "Sarah, no matter what happens, we're going to make this work. We've faced tougher challenges before, and we'll get through this too." I nodded, feeling inspired by her resolve. "You're right, Emily, we've got this." Finally, after months of hard work, our second location was ready to open. We hosted a grand opening event, inviting our loyal customers, friends, and family to celebrate this milestone with us. The turnout was incredible, and the support from the community was overwhelming. As I looked around the bustling new boutique, I felt a sense of accomplishment and gratitude. We had worked tirelessly to get to this point, and it was all worth it. During the grand opening, Emily and I took a moment to step outside and catch our breath. "We did it, Sarah," she said, her eyes shining with pride. I smiled, feeling the same sense of pride and fulfillment. "We did it together, Emily, and this is just the beginning." The success of our second location brought new opportunities and challenges. We hired a dedicated team to manage the day-to-day operations, allowing us to focus on strategic planning and growth. We also continued to offer workshops and classes, which were well received by the community and helped to further establish our brand. Despite the busyness, we made sure to maintain our work-life balance. Our weekly sister nights continued, and we planned regular getaways to recharge and reconnect. These moments of relaxation and connection were vital in keeping us grounded and ensuring we didn't lose sight of what truly mattered. One evening, after a particularly successful workshop, Emily and I sat down to review our progress and plan for the future. "Sarah," Emily said, her voice filled with excitement, "I've been thinking about offering online classes. It would allow us to reach a wider audience and bring in additional revenue." I considered her idea, feeling a surge of excitement. "That's a great idea, Emily. We could develop a series of online courses and market them through our website and social media channels. Let's start planning." We spent the next few weeks developing a comprehensive plan for our online classes. We created high-quality content, filmed instructional videos, and set up an online platform to host the courses. It was a lot of work, but the potential benefits were immense. The launch of our online classes was a huge success. We received positive feedback from participants and saw a significant increase in our revenue. It was another milestone in our journey, and it reinforced the strength of our partnership. Reflecting on everything, I realized that our story was one of resilience, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. Our bond had been tested, but it had endured and flourished. To all of you who have followed our journey, thank you for your support and encouragement. It's been a long and challenging road, but it's also been one of growth and transformation. I hope our story inspires you to face your own challenges with courage and an open heart. Let's continue to move forward, one step at a time, with love and hope guiding us. With our second location thriving and the success of our online classes, it felt like Emily and I had finally reached a place of stability and fulfillment. We had come so far from those dark days of betrayal and hurt, and our relationship was stronger than ever. But life has a way of testing us, and we knew that the journey was far from over. One sunny afternoon, as we sat on the porch of Emily's house, enjoying the warmth of the sun, she turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Sarah, I've been thinking a lot about the future. What's next for us? We've achieved so much, but I feel like there's still more we can do." I smiled, feeling a sense of excitement. "I've been thinking about that too, Emily. We've built something amazing, but there's always room to grow and improve. Maybe we could start mentoring other small business owners, helping them navigate the challenges we've faced." Emily's eyes lit up. "I love that idea. We could share our experiences and lessons learned, and it would be a great way to give back to the community." Over the next few months, we began developing a mentorship program for aspiring entrepreneurs. We hosted workshops, offered one-on-one coaching sessions, and created a supportive network for small business owners. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and it felt incredibly rewarding to help others achieve their dreams. As we continued to grow our mentorship program, we also made sure to nurture our own relationship. We celebrated milestones, supported each other through challenges, and made time for the simple joys in life. Our weekly sister nights remained a cherished tradition, and we planned regular trips to explore new places and create lasting memories. One evening, after a particularly successful mentorship event, Emily and I sat down to reflect on our journey. "Sarah," Emily said, her voice filled with emotion, "I can't believe how far we've come. From the lowest points to where we are now, it's been an incredible journey." I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. "It has. And I'm so grateful for every moment, every lesson learned. We've faced incredible challenges, but we've come through stronger and more united." Emily reached out and took my hand. "Thank you, Sarah, for believing in me, for giving me a second chance, and for being my partner through it all. I couldn't have done this without you." I squeezed her hand, my heart full. "We did this together, Emily, and I'm so proud of the person you've become." As we continued to reflect, we realized that our journey was far from over. There would always be new challenges to face, new goals to achieve, and new opportunities to explore. But we were ready for whatever the future held, knowing that we had each other's backs. Reflecting on everything, I realized that our story was one of resilience, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. We had faced incredible challenges, but we had emerged stronger and more united. Our bond had been tested, but it had endured and flourished. To all of you who have followed our journey, thank you for your support and encouragement. It's been a long and challenging road, but it's also been one of growth and transformation. I hope our story inspires you to face your own challenges with courage and an open heart. Let's continue to move forward, one step at a time, with love and hope guiding us. As we move forward, I invite you to reflect on your own journeys. Have you faced similar challenges? What have you learned along the way? Let's share our stories and support each other in this beautiful, unpredictable journey of life. Thank you for being a part of ours. What are your thoughts on forgiveness and second chances? Have you had to rebuild trust in a relationship? I'd love to hear your stories and experiences. Let's continue this conversation and learn from each other's journeys.